Hi, my name is Samantha Hiserodt and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. For this reflection, I chose to talk about protests and how they've shaped both my local community and my personal perspective. I grew up in a very politically involved liberal family, so I've attended several protests growing up, and they've really influenced how I see civic engagement and social change. So in Phoenix, protests have been a major part of local culture, especially in recent years, around issues like immigration and racial justice and things like that. So for example, like during the marches for immigrant rights, my sister actually planned the No King's Day protest over summer. Thousands of people came together downtown to support families and demand fair treatment. So I was able to see how protests gave a voice to people who often feel unheard and brought attention to policies that affect our city directly. So even if not everyone agreed, it still encouraged important conversations about fairness, equality, and community responsibility. On the other hand, I've also seen in many ways how protests divide people. One of the most powerful moments for me was the 2018 Women's March in Phoenix. I remember this very clearly. I was about 10 years old. I remember walking through the crowd surrounded by like colorful signs, drums, and people filled with like hope and love. And there was an incredible energy. And for the first time, I felt like a part of something big. But then across the street, the atmosphere was completely different. There were armed counter protesters with like AR-15s strapped across their shoulders. They were shouting slurs and hate speech at us. And so this was a terrifying moment, but it was also very eye-opening. I didn't understand how people could carry so much anger towards others simply asking for equality and respect. So that experience really taught me that activism isn't just about celebration and unity, it's also about standing firm in the face of hostility and continuing to fight for what's right, especially in Phoenix when there's so many conflicting opinions, but at the same time, there's so many issues that are so important and need to be addressed despite the hate you might get. So overall, protests in Phoenix have reminded me that democracy depends on people being engaged and speaking up for what's right, and speaking up against the injustices that are put in place by, for example, Gramsci's hegemonic society. And they've made me more aware, empathetic, and motivated to keep learning about social justice and staying involved in my community. Thank you.